Hello there, you're tuned in to 7Edition. I'm Anand Watanasin and these are your headlines. 6 associations in Hadiai Peace Accord gathering found to be illegal. Online child grooming to be included in Year 4 textbook next year. And Boris Johnson promises January 31st Brexit after sweeping election victory. .373 Chinese nationals were charged in the Sepang Sessions Court for entering the country illegally. They were part of the 680 that were detained in a special immigration department operation that busted an online scam in Cyberjaya. 321 of them pleaded guilty after the charges were translated to them in Mandarin, while the rest pleaded not guilty. The suspects, aged between 28 to 38, were believed to have been running an online scam preying on Chinese citizens for the last 6 months. The court sentenced 290 of them to 4 months in jail starting from the date of their arrest on November 20th. 31 of them were fined 5,000 ringgit before being ordered to be deported back to their home country. Meanwhile, the 52 who pleaded not guilty were detained at the Bukit Jalil immigration depot while awaiting for their case remention on January 10th. It was among the largest online scam busts in the country, with many of the suspects running helter-skelter from a 6-story building in Cyberjaya during the immigration department operation. PKR Vice President Muhammad Rafizi Ramli remains free over charges of disclosing private banking details linked to National Feedlot Corporation, NFC, after the prosecution withdrew its appeal against his acquittal. The prosecution also withdrew its appeal against the acquittal of bank clerk Johari Muhammad from charges of conspiring with Rafizi. Deputy Public Prosecutor Jasmi Hamiza Jaffar said the notice to withdraw the appeal was filed by the prosecution on December 9th. He added a panel of 3 judges of the Court of Appeal in Putrajaya struck out the appeals after being informed of the matter today. Following this, Justice Dato' Yaakob Mat Sam, who headed the panel, said the order to discharge and acquit the duo by the High Court was upheld. On November 15th, the Shah Alam High Court discharged and acquitted Rafizi and Johari from charges under the Banking and Financial Institutions Act, BAFIA, after allowing their appeal to set aside their conviction and sentence of a 30-month jail term. Previously, Rafizi was found guilty by the Sessions Court for disclosing bank account documents related to NFC, its subsidiary companies and its chairman, Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Saleh Ismail, while Johari was convicted for abetting Rafizi at the PKR headquarters in Merchant Square, Petaling Jaya on March 7, 2012. The offence under BAFIA, which has been replaced by the Financial Services Act, provides imprisonment of up to 3 years or up to 3 million ringgit fine or both upon conviction. A North Korean man is facing extradition to the US to face money laundering charges after the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court gave the green light today. 54-year-old Man Chol Myong has been in custody since his arrest in May, following a request from Washington. The Federal Bureau of Investigation claims that he led a criminal group that violated sanctions by supplying luxury goods to North Korea.
Essentially, the Singapore company for which the North Korea was working had purchased 3 Volcanic engines from an American company. These engines are basically used for anti-terrorism purposes.
Jagjit added that Man would not be deported before a final appeal, likely to be heard early next year. Man has lived in Malaysia with his family for a decade and claims to have only been involved in the supply of palm oil and soybean to North Korea. He is accused of 4 charges of money laundering and 2 of conspiracy to launder money, mainly in relation to his work for a firm in Singapore. Last month, several Singaporean companies were charged with shipping banned goods to North Korea. Two policemen shot a suspected car thief after he attempted to ram his vehicle into them at Jalan Ipoh, Kuala Lumpur. In the 6:30 p.m. incident yesterday, authorities received a tip-off about a suspicious character driving a Mazda CX-5 near Kem Batu Cantonment and sent the two officers to investigate. When they approached the suspect in his 30s, the man quickly reversed his vehicle at high speed towards the policeman to evade arrest and escape from the scene. The two cops were forced to open fire in self-defense, hitting the suspect on his arm before arresting him. Initial investigations reveal the man has 11 past criminal records and the vehicle he was driving had been reported stolen in Putra Heights. The suspect, who also tested positive for drugs, is currently being treated at a nearby hospital, and the case was classified as attempted murder. Standard 4 pupils will soon learn about the dangers that lurk on the internet to avoid them from becoming victims of online grooming by pedophiles. Deputy Education Minister Teo Nai Ching said the new topic will be included in a Year 4 textbook, which will be distributed starting next year. Teo said the ministry is aware that there are irresponsible people with ill intentions whose mission is to lure children using social media platforms. Making child grooming as a topic to discuss in classrooms will enable teachers to create awareness and equip children with knowledge on protecting themselves from falling prey to sexual predators.
Tahun depan kita ada buku teks baharu untuk mata pelajaran PJK, pendidikan jasmani dan kesihatan. Dan antaranya pelbagai ilmu tentang keselamatan dan juga pendidikan seksualiti akan juga diajar. Antaranya termasuklah akil balik dan jugalah perubahan fizikal. Selain daripada itu konflik dan stres, dan satulah elemen baharu ialah pengantutan kanak-kanak ataupun kita panggil child grooming. Denganlah pelbagai social media ataupun alat komunikasi yang baharu, child grooming ini telah menjadi satu jenayah baharu ataupun satu isu baharu yang kita perlu tangani.
Teo told reporters this after launching a new safety video by the ministry titled "My Body is Mine" today. The 1.5-minute video is aimed at educating young children on safe touches and unsafe touches through simple lyrics and dance moves. A group of University Malaysia Terengganu UMT students braved high monsoon waves to help a beach dolphin get back to sea. A video clip of their effort has also gone viral on social media after it was posted yesterday. In the 1:30 p.m. incident on Thursday, the 7 biomarine students rushed to the Tanjung Gelam beach once they got news of the marine mammal in distress from villagers. According to the group, aged between 21 and 23, some villagers found a beach dolphin and needed assistance to get the stranded animal back to sea. Some passers-by had carried the dolphin to water, but it could not overcome the big waves and the spot was a little bit too shallow for the aquatic mammal to swim. The students then carried the dolphin to another part of the beach where the water was deeper and it soon was able to swim away safely. Now, 6 of the 9 associations believed to be part of the 30th anniversary gathering of the Hat Yai Peace Accord in Kajang earlier this month have been found to be illegal. Home Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin confirmed this today after the ministry had received a report on the matter. He added the police were also investigating the reasons why the associations held the event.
Ya, itu laporan yang saya terima bermakna mereka tidak berdaftar. Mereka adalah pertubuhan yang haram. 3 saja yang dikata berdaftar. Tapi soal daftar tak berdaftar tu yang penting kita nak ambil kira ialah kenapa mereka terlibat dalam aktiviti yang dikatakan ada kaitan dengan cimpeng ke, komunis ke. Apakah ini sebagai satu usaha nak menunjukkan ada minat untuk membawa semula ideologi lama, iaitu pihak polis dan pihak intelijen kita sedang mengkaji dan meliti secara mendalam.
Tan Sri Muhyiddin also stated since the Malayan Communist Party CPM has been banned, the communist ideology should no longer exist in the country. On December 1st, the news portal reported that a gathering believed to be of former CPM members was held in Kajang to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Hat Yai Peace Accord signed between the Malaysian government and the party on December 2nd 1989. In a statement issued today, the Registrar of Societies, ROS, said of the 9 associations believed to have been involved in the anniversary gathering, only 3 were identified as registered under the Societies Act. Up next, a video of a woman filling up plastic bags with petrol catches netizens' attention. Details next. Thank you for staying with us. Now we're back with world news. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Conservatives on Friday won an outright majority in Parliament that will allow him to take Britain out of the European Union in a matter of weeks. Now, just hours after Johnson's victory, European Union leaders said they were ready for the next phase of Brexit. The exit poll gave Johnson's governing Conservatives 368 seats in the 650-member House of Commons and the main opposition Labour 191 seats. If the results of the exit poll turn out to be accurate, Conservatives would have an 86-seat majority in the Commons. It would be enough to give Johnson the majority he needs to pave the way for Britain's exit from the EU on January 31st, 2020. At a press conference, the UK Prime Minister said he is humbled by the majority win, but hinted that Parliament must change.
As the nation hands us this historic mandate, we must rise to the challenge and to the level of expectations. And Parliament must change so that we in Parliament are working for you, the British people.
Ratifying the deal would formalise the end of almost 5 decades of EU-UK integration, although both sides still need to thrash out a new trade and security agreement. EU Council President Charles Michel said the bloc was set for talks but would do its utmost to protect European priorities.
It's very important to give the stability, to give the security as soon as possible for the citizens, but also for the companies, for the British companies, but also for the European companies.
The Europeans had widely expressed hope for a convincing victory in the British vote to achieve clarity in a crisis that has rocked Brussels since the British referendum to leave the bloc in June 2016. By contrast, the main opposition Labour Party suffered its worst electoral performance since before World War II, forcing leader Jeremy Corbyn to announce plans for his departure. Corbyn said Labour will go through a reflection process and that he will lead the party during this period. However, he confirmed that he will not be leading the opposition party in any future election.
This is obviously a very disappointing night for the Labour Party with the result that we've got. But I want to say this. In the election campaign, we put forward a manifesto of hope, a manifesto of unity, and a manifesto that would help to right the wrongs and the injustices and inequalities that exist in this country.
Corbyn had promised a second referendum on Brexit in a bid to appeal to half of British voters who still want to stay in the EU. But he had focused Labour's campaign on a radical programme of economic change, including renationalising some key industries, which failed to woo traditional voters. Meanwhile, the British pound soared against the ringgit and other major currencies today after the British Conservatives' massive parliamentary majority in the UK election. As of 5 p.m, the Malaysian ringgit was trading at 5.443 against the British pound. The huge gains of the British currency came shortly after the results of an exit poll showed the Conservatives were set to win big. In other news, 6 of 8 bodies have been recovered by the New Zealand military team on Friday from White Island, where a volcano erupted earlier this week. The high-speed operation to recover the bodies was launched despite the risk of another eruption. Recovery teams had good knowledge of the location of those 6 before landing. According to the officials, after the 4-hour wait, the retrieved bodies were safely taken to a naval patrol vessel for transfer to the mainland for disaster victim identification. As for the whereabouts of the other two, authorities were less certain when those bodies would be recovered. However, they will continue their efforts to retrieve the last bodies, with dive teams already deployed in the waters around the island and another aerial search conducted on Friday.
We do believe that at least one of them is in the water, and the other one we are unsure, so it only leaves two possibilities. One is still on the island and we haven't located them, or they too are in the water.
While troops were recovering the bodies, another 28 people, mostly tourists who'd been on a day trip to see the natural wonder, were still being treated in hospitals across New Zealand and Australia, many in critical condition, suffering severe burns. The disaster has raised questions about why tourists were allowed on a volcano where experts had recently raised threat levels, as well as broader issues about the regulation of risky activities in the tourism sector.
Of course, that's a question that's been raised over the previous days. Just for context, though, as has been said, this is a volcano that has been visited for the better part of 30 years. However, we also hear and absolutely agree that there are questions that are being asked that must be answered, and they will be.
A total of 47 people were on the island during the eruption, hailing from New Zealand, Malaysia, Australia, the US, the UK, China and Germany. Asian stock markets rose on Friday as the US and China struck a trade deal to avert a new round of tariffs. US President Donald Trump has signed off on a Phase 1 trade deal with China, crucially avoiding a looming December 15th tariff deadline, after negotiators from both sides agreed upon terms on Thursday. This will cancel new levies set to take effect Sunday. The existing tariffs on $360 billion in Chinese imports will be reduced, which includes provisions that will penalize the Chinese government if it fails to place the required agricultural orders. A deal would deliver a victory to Trump, who is under political pressure, with debate on his impeachment underway in the US Congress. Bursa Malaysia ended higher for the third straight day, underpinned by fresh hopes for progress, after news that the US has agreed in principle to the terms of a Phase 1 trade deal with China and the resounding win by Conservatives in the UK election. The benchmark FBM KLCI increased 3.82 points to 1,571.16, led by gains in heavyweights led by Petronas Chemicals and Petronas Gas. On to stocks to watch. The Ministry of Transport has confirmed that the Malaysian Aviation Commission will be merged with the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia. Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad's earnings is still expected to grow by another 9.3% year-on-year in financial year 2020, with the absence of a regulated asset-based framework. Next, and last on the list, Eco World Development Group Berhad's financial year 2019 core net income of 205.9 million ringgit came in above expectations, making up 115% of consensus full-year estimates. The earnings surprise was mainly from the stronger-than-expected revenue recognition from ongoing projects and completed projects. Energy giant Saudi Aramco's market value soared above $2 trillion on Thursday as its share price surged again on its second day of trading. The valuation milestone was sought by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman when he first floated the idea of selling up to 5% of Aramco, the world's largest oil firm, about 4 years ago. Aramco shares jumped another 9.7% to 38.60 rials on Thursday morning, following a 10% rise the previous day. That boosted the company's valuation to $2.06 trillion and pushed the Saudi Stock Exchange's capitalization up to $2.56 trillion making it the 7th largest bourse in the world, ahead of the Canadian, German and Indian markets. Aramco's stock sale is the cornerstone of Prince Mohammed's ambitious strategy to overhaul the oil-reliant economy by raising funds to pour into mega projects and non-energy industries such as tourism and entertainment. To lure investors to subscribe to its IPO, Aramco guaranteed that it will distribute dividends of at least $75 billion a year until 2024. And now let's hop on to Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making the rounds in the cyber world today. Now, a bizarre video has been making its rounds since Tuesday this week and has garnered over 10 million views. It also has left many netizens perplexed because, well, take a look.
A customer at a Kruger petrol station in Houston, Texas, was casually having a normal day when he comes across this scene. This bizarre video showing a Chinese woman who seemed to be struggling with the plastic bags that appeared to be split at the bottom as she filled them up with petrol. Yet the lady was determined in taking the petrol-filled plastic bags home, so she takes out another carrier and puts the bundle aside. Social media users were also quick to question the woman's actions. Some expressed their concern on the danger she's putting herself in. We don't know the real reason behind the woman's desperation for taking home the petrol like that, but at least she paid for it.
And now, updated as of 7 p.m, here are the top trending topics and searches on the internet today. Over in New York, thousands lined up to see Yayoi Kusama's exhibit, with her Infinity Room being the main attraction. We'll leave you with the highlights as we wrap 7Edition tonight. With that, I'm Anand Watanasin. Thank you so much for tuning in, and do have a lovely weekend.